Okay, I've been wanting to make this video for a little while. Waiting for my GoPro frame to do it. Finally got it. We'll see if the audio is any better on this video when I make it. But this is a 2001 New Holland LS190. We bought this skid steer, and I think 05, 06. Bought it used. Wasn't in the best of shape, but I think it had around 2,500 hours or something like that. It actually had smaller tires. It had 12-16 5s, which are actually sitting on the pallet over there. And the reason for that was the previous owner had the over-the-tire metal track system, which was really popular, I guess, back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, whatever, before the track machines had been designed or released, or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, when we bought it, we didn't have a use for the tracks. Sold the tracks, had the smaller tires on it for a long time, which I say smaller, but that's the pretty much standard size tire for most machines under, I would say, what, 80, 85 horsepower. This one's 88, 89, something like that. Close to 90, but it's the weight. It's a lot heavier machine compared to everything else. So like your LS170s, 180s, they're gonna have the, let's say, medium-sized tires, which is one of the things I've been wanting to do to this machine for a long time, is get the correct size wheels back on it, which are the 17.5 inch bigger wheels, which in my opinion makes it look like it should. Kind of looked goofy before, in my opinion. It had the smaller wheels on it, and one of the major differences between this and an LS180 is the length of the wheelbase, or whatever you want to call it, the length of the frame. It's a lot longer on the back. I would have to look at the specs, but I want to say at least 4 to 6 inch difference in wheelbase. So having that the smaller tires, it looked super long. It just didn't look right. Anyway, so I'm really happy with the bigger wheels that it has on it. I can't wait to see what differences it's going to make as far as turning a lot and driving over stuff and whatever else the bigger wheels would help out with. A couple of things I did before I repainted it. These, let's call them fenders. I'm not sure what this thing is exactly called, but because it had the over-the-tire track system on them, you can actually see a little damage right there. But I spent a lot of time straightening those things. It was a pain in the butt because the tracks before had, whether they ran over a rock or a 2x4, whatever, both ends, the front and back on both sides, were really bent up. And I probably could have done a little bit better job straightening. And if I wanted to get technical, I could have put Bondo and all this other stuff. But again, it's not going to be a show machine. It's just going to be a worker, like it always has been. So as long as it looks straight, it's got a decent paint job on it, that's all I was worried about. So I did this in 2 phases. I painted let's see if I can remember how I did this. I think I pulled all the panels off, painted the yellow first with the boom in the air, and then lowered it slightly, taped off all of the yellow pieces, and then painted the boom and the cab with the gray, which seemed to work pretty well, rather than having to disassemble the boom completely and take it all off in the cab and everything. That would have been a mess. Still haven't painted the bucket yet. I actually just got it straightened yesterday. This is not the bucket that came on it when we bought it. It actually came with a bucket from a Case 1845C, which is a little, I think it's a 5-foot bucket on it. I don't, this little bucket right here that's all bent up. It was too narrow for the small tires. Tires actually stuck out bigger than the cutting edge. I picked up this bucket somewhere along the way, which is from a Case 90 XT, which was the correct, I think it's a 72-inch bucket, which was wide enough for the tires that were on it. But once I put the bigger 14-17.5s, it pushed the width out to 78 inches, which was a little bit bigger than the Case 95 XT bucket. So I had to get this one. I didn't have to, I wanted to. Picked this up at a local New Holland dealer, and the only thing wrong with it was bent out a little bit on the edge here, which I straightened it as good as I could with beating on it with a backhoe. I stood up on the end and hammered it on the backhoe and it straightened it pretty good, but I still want to get it a little bit better. Once I get the dozer home, probably put it up against a tree, put some pressure on it, get the fire wrench out or the torch and heat it up, put some heat on it and see if I can get it. Cat, get out of here. See if I can get it a little bit straighter, but other than that, I'm glad that I was able to find this actual New Holland bucket. It's the correct bucket that should have been on this machine, which was, who knows what happened to the original one. But what else? The decals I bought those off eBay for, let's say 48 and some change, $50 or whatever it was, comparing to going through New Holland, which they actually sell each individual piece separate. And I want to say just for one side of the boom decal was 80 something dollars, so that's 80 times 2 is 160. The 2-speed decals, I don't remember what they were. This little piece back here was $30 or $40, but I was real happy with the aftermarket ones that I got off eBay because they look the part. They're probably not exactly correct. This little bit right here looks kind of funny in my opinion, but from 5-10 foot away you never know the difference, and that's just me being very particular like I am usually about most things. But overall I'm real happy the way it turned out. I'm going to try to either, if I can't edit the photos that I have, the before and after photos, if I can't edit them into this video, I'll make another little slideshow and put that up sooner or later. One of the other things that I did want to mention too is the seat. If you notice, it's not in the best shape. I mean, it could be reupholstered, but a lot of people, a buddy of mine's got an LS190 and he's got the factory seat in it, and man, that thing rides like a freaking, like you're riding around on a brick. It doesn't have the seat suspension. This thing actually doesn't have suspension under it either, but it's got springs in the seat, if that makes sense. I'd have to take it off to show you, but it's very cushy, and if you've ever spent any time in a skid steer, they bounce around quite a bit, and that thing soaks up a lot of the vibration and bumps. And I mean, I spent a lot of time in new machines, old machines, new Bobcats that have suspension seats and not full-on suspension like a tractor suspension, but it's got a little bit of linkage underneath the seat, and they're still way rougher than this seat in this machine. This is probably the smoothest. Well, I've never ridden around anything that's got air ride. I don't even know if they make such a thing this day and age. I'm sure they do, but that seat's very comfortable. I just need to get it recovered so it doesn't look so raggedy. But other than that, like I said before, I spent quite a bit of time in other various machines, Bobcats, Caterpillars, New Holland, Case, and honestly, for the bang for the buck, if you can afford a new machine, good for you. But if you're looking for an affordable farm machine, this 190 is a tank. It's got plenty of power. It'll pick up almost anything you throw at it. I mean, we had a piece of rental property where a guy left his, I think it was an Isuzu Rodeo or something, didn't have wheels on it. We were cleaning it up after he moved out. I had forks, picked it right up, drove the entire thing, picked up the Rodeo, which I don't know what it weighs, 4,000 or 5,000 pounds or whatever, picked it up on the forks. And don't get me wrong, it was teeter-totter on those front wheels, but I picked it up no problem, carried it around, put it on a trailer, got it out of there. I've picked up concrete beams that, I don't know what they weigh, 20 foot long, 2x2, picked them up no problem. And that's even without the counterweights, which I do have. But I do, a lot of the times, if I'm running around without the forks or without the bucket on the front, it just seems like having the counterweights on the back makes it so much harder to load up. Or if I'm spending a lot of time prepping my Supercross track, refacing the jumps, as you drive up that incline and it gets to the point where it's 1-to-1, half-to-1, whatever, as you're going up that slope, when you got those counterweights on back, it makes it a lot harder to maintain traction on the front. So I've got them if I ever need them. I can put them on, but at this point I've never run into a situation where the machine wouldn't pick up anything I wanted to do without the counterweight. So anyway, for the bang for the buck, I'm a huge New Holland fan, especially the 190s. It's a tank, it's a workhorse. So if anybody's got any questions, leave comments or questions below.